The original Peugeot 3008 was a good car, but it was just a little bit ugly. You know, it was a third MPV, third SUV, and third WTF. This new one though, it's rather lovely. And in this video review, I'm going to tell you the 10 things you need to know about it, including why the heck I'm on this scooter. Ah! This time around with a 3008, Peugeot is making sure it's 100% SUV. I mean, look at the front design. It certainly stands out, and there's lots of kind of shiny design garnish there as well. I really like this feature. It's very, very concept car-y. The way the bumper actually cuts into the headlamp. I think that's supposed to be a lion's claw, or is it tooth? Peugeot, obviously, Peugeot lion. Actually, to me, it looks more like a shark's fin. I could be completely wrong with all of that anyway. One thing I do like about the car though is how they've given it a clamshell bonnet, a bit like on a Land Rover. Also the car, its ride height is higher than the old 3008, yet the roof height is the same, so it just kind of makes it look more rugged, yet more sporty at the same time. This is quite a sporty feature as well. The blacked out rear pillar there, it's a bit like on a Jaguar XJ, though I think it works better here. I know what you're thinking, oh, typical British journalist talking about British cars in a French car review. Sorry, I'm just programmed to do that. It's just what we do, I'm afraid. And that brings me on to the back of this car. It's absolutely stunning, isn't it? It's as though Peugeot went to the future, got a load of designers, brought them back here to create this car. It is that fresh. The only thing I don't like about it is that on low spec cars you get these horrible plastic fake exhausts, and that's just lame. But overall, I really like the look of this car. But what do you think? Click up there to vote whether you think this is hot or not. This particular car has the 1.6 litre turbocharged petrol engine, but you can only get it with an automatic gearbox, and the auto is generally quite good and smooth, though it can take a little bit longer than I'd like to respond when you... There you go, put your foot down. Anyway, who cares? No one's going to really be buying this engine, because if you're just going to do town driving and you want a petrol, just save some cash and get the 1.2 litre turbo petrol. However, if you're doing lots of motorway miles, you'll want one of the diesels, and you can get two 2 litres and pick one of those if you want to tow. However, if you don't want to tow, get one of the 1.6 litre diesels. Now you can get it in either 100 horsepower, which is going to be too slow, or 120 horsepower, which should be just about fine, and it should be able to do 70 miles per gallon. The interior of this Peugeot 3008 is just head and shoulders above the competition. I mean, in comparison, things like the Seat Ateca, the Volkswagen Tiguan, the Kia Sportage, the Nissan Qashqai, the Mazda CX-5, they're all just so achingly dull. Whereas this is wonderful. I love the way the cockpit wraps around you. I like the swooping effect of the dash, the way you've got fabric up here and on the doors. And even the small steering wheel with the dials on top actually works here. The seating position is spot on. I've got nothing to complain about. And the quality of the materials, I mean, really soft touch plastics up there and on the dash, even here, past the carwow flick test, no problem at all. Only when you reach further down there, they start to feel a bit cheap, but that's the case on most cars. I think in terms of quality, this is up there with premium brands such as Audi. Now there is one thing that may be a bit of a problem with this car for some people, and that's the starting price. So it begins from just under £22,000, which makes this 3008 a lot more expensive than a Seat Ateca. In fact, it's on a par pretty much with a Volkswagen Tiguan. But actually, if you're not a badge snob, that doesn't matter, because I think this car feels more premium than the Tiguan, and it's got really, really impressive standard equipment as well. And anyway, it doesn't really matter the list price. What matters is the price you pay at the dealership. And if you click up there to go to carwow.co.uk, you can save an average of £3,600 on a new car. Getting into the back of the 3008 is pretty easy because these door openings are massive. I just wish the doors open to 90 degrees, but it's only a small problem. Once you're in, there's plenty of space for most people. So knee room probably isn't quite as generous as in a Toyota RAV4, but there's easily enough. Headroom, even with this panoramic sunroof fitted, which does eat into headspace, I've got just about enough headroom, so that's fine. Slight disappointment is the fact that I can't recline or slide these rear seats like you can in a Volkswagen Tiguan. But this car does kind of make up for that by the fact, look, it's got a completely flat floor. So if you need to carry 3 people, there's absolutely loads of foot space. The only problem is this centre console does kind of get in the way of your shins. But hey, some you lose, some you win, such as the fact you can get the car with a front passenger seat, which lies flat. And I guess if you want to, you can then travel in the back like that. It's actually all right, that. If you're the kind of person that thinks an SUV absolutely positively must be four-wheel drive, then forget this car because it's front-wheel drive only. However, you can get it with something called grip control, and at a turn of a dial you can alter the traction control system so that it helps the car grip on slippery surfaces. Now, it's not quite as good as sending drive to the rear wheels, but it's going to be good enough for most people, unless they're a farmer or mountain rescue. Then yeah, it won't quite be up to the task. It's important for a car such as this to have lots of cubby spaces so you can hide away all your family's detritus and prevent it looking like a rubbish tip after about 300 or 400 miles. So let's count how many cubbies are in this car. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And that should be enough for most families. When I was a kid, Peugeots were famous for handling better than their Ford and Vauxhall equivalents. But in the late 90s and the noughties, the company just lost its way and these cars just became a bit to drive. However, Peugeot sorted things out, and this 3008 is proof. You see, for a tall vehicle, it handles very well. It doesn't lean much in the corners, and this little steering wheel, it makes sense when you're trying to dart through traffic or make quick turns. Now, don't get me wrong, this is no sports car, but then it doesn't need to be, does it? It just needs to get you to your destination safely and swiftly if you need it to. And the good thing is that Peugeot haven't sacrificed comfort in the interest of handling. They've got the balance just right, unlike Seat with the Ateca. Yeah, this is a comfy car and it drives as well as you ever need it to. You can get the 3008 with hands-free boot opening. There we go. A little bit slow, like all these electric tailgates, but the boot itself, the capacity is nice and large. It's good for this class of car, and there's lots of lovely features as well. You've got a completely flat load bay. I can lower the rear seats by pulling these levers. There's various tethering points about the place. It's netting, and also look, you've got a 12-volt socket there, and people often ask, what do you need a 12-volt socket for in the back of a car? Well, you can use it for charging your Peugeot e-kick scooter. There we go. So if I just put this down, I can pull that up, lock it in place, rotate the handles out, and voila! Oh, it's not so good off-road as it is on-road. So as standard, the 3008 gets rear parking sensors, there's dual zone climate control, you get auto emergency braking and lane departure warning, but that's not particularly special, is it? However, this is, all models get this 12-inch digital driver's display, and it looks glorious. I can change the different views of it as well, and that is something Audi will charge you quite handsomely for on its cars. It's standard here on this Peugeot. You also get this large central infotainment screen which you control most of the car's functions through, and it's much better than the system in old Peugeots. They're still probably not the best on the market. You can access functions quite easily though using these toggle switches, and they're rather swish and nice though, as with other Peugeots. Operating the climate control is, well, it's kind of one press too many, really, if you ask me. And perhaps the only slight disappointment is that the entry-level car doesn't get sat-nav as standard, though it's not too much of a problem because it does get Apple CarPlay and mirror link for your mobile phone, so you can just use your phone sat-nav system. And that kind of sums up the 3008, It's a thoroughly modern feeling car and is without doubt one of the best small SUVs you can buy.
If you enjoyed this video, please like it, share it and subscribe to our channel. And if you click on the video windows, you can watch our reviews of the Volkswagen Tiguan and the Seat Ateca.